These are the big three things Republicans are going to deliver on. First, prioritizing public safety. Secondly, making Colorado affordable. And third, expanding educational options around the state. There is more meat to that in the contract, in the commitment to Colorado. And also, our legislators and our candidates are going to build on it. They're going to make real proposals in the legislative session to show what they would do if Republicans were given a chance to lead Colorado. And as you know, John, the people of Colorado often want balance in their government. We lack that deeply right now with one-party stranglehold that's been here for over a decade, and Colorado continues to slip in every possible measurable number.
2022 should be an extraordinary year for Colorado Republicans if they don't mess it up, which they usually do. The woman hopefully in charge of making sure that doesn't happen is my friend Kristi, Burton Brown. Thank you. By the way, I was at a meeting and everyone was talking about, we'll run this by KBB and we'll do this by KBB. And I was like, all right, obviously we're all fans of KBB, but what or who is and it was you. So.
Yeah, it's a little easier to say than my whole name.
All right. I've always said I've never understood why anyone wants your job. I think being a state party chairman is one of the most abused, hated, ugly jobs out there that no matter what happens, somehow it's all your fault.
Right.
You didn't vet the right candidates, which of course you can't do, or you gave all of your support to my opponent. It's a no-win job. Why did you want it?
Well, I'm an optimist. I'm always an optimist, and I think there's always a better path forward.
Well, you need to stop that, by the way.
I'll never stop it. And I think this is a prime year for the Republicans in 2022. We have so many opportunities, so many passionate people who've finally woken up and said, if we're going to stop Colorado from diving off the cliff, we have to do it by running for office, by supporting the right candidates, and by returning to be the party of ideas as Republicans. Instead of being so much the party of personalities, we have to be the party of ideas again.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit about Caldara's first political axiom, which is there is nothing Republicans can't F up. And I will show you case and case and case the idea that Michael Bennet, the easiest to defeat guy, is still in office. I'll give you Dan Mays. I'll give you all sorts of ways that Republicans shoot themselves in the foot or bring forward candidates that just can't win in a general. Your job is to defeat Caldara's first political axiom. Will you be able to do so?
Yes, absolutely. 2022 is a prime year of opportunity for us. And I mean, Michael Bennet is absolutely the accidental senator. He shouldn't be the senator. But just because mistakes have been made in the past doesn't mean they have to be repeated. We have new opportunities, new people, and even polling shows that Bennet is barely known among Colorado voters, that he right now against a generic Republican is within the margin of error. Bennet is eminently beatable by a Republican candidate who can stick him on the issues that matter. And that, John, I think is the key to Republicans winning. We have to talk to the voters about the issues that matter to them in their average everyday lives, in their neighborhood, on their streets, in their schools. That is what our party has to address.
Do you not understand what Republicans are? That's not what we do. That's not what conservatives do. I get that. Let me bring the Trump problem. Trump lost big here in Colorado. He brought down Cory Gardner, who I believe would have won if Trump wasn't there. And we can argue whether or not the election was stolen in Colorado, but the fact is Trump was a major factor. Now you've got a Republican Party, particularly in Colorado, that if you're going to run for a primary, it feels like you're supposed to embrace Trump. Otherwise, the hardcore right wing will not endorse you, will not vote for you. They'll vote for the Trumpy. But if you embrace Donald Trump, I don't think you can win in a general in Colorado in 2022.
So what I think all Republicans have to do, and I've been talking about this around the state, I'm close to hitting 50 counties in Colorado, and I talk to people on the ground, Republicans, unaffiliated, leaders in their area, and what Republicans on both sides of that divide are saying now is that we have to talk about issues that are central to Colorado. Instead of allowing the Democrats, the media to paint us into the corner of federalizing and trumping every single issue, we have to talk about what matters in Colorado. 2022 is a Colorado-centric year where we can talk about making Colorado affordable again. We can talk about prioritizing public safety, expanding educational options across the state. These are things that swing voters, many of whom look exactly like me, are thinking about, talking about, and they want to find a candidate who will fight for them on those local Colorado issues. And whether Republicans love Trump or think he didn't help us in Colorado, they all agree with that, those Colorado issues.
All right, let me push back on this, which is, but the mechanics of this is, in order to get on the general, you're going to have to go and face a primary. Assuming we have a primary, and we're recording this before the Central Committee votes on whether or not to get rid of the primary. Let's assume that doesn't happen. So you still have to get through that contest. And it seems as though there is this litmus test that, and it is very personal. Do you support Trump? Do you not support Trump? And if you say, yes, I support Trump, I think your chances of winning the primary are better, but your chances of winning the general go down significantly. How do you walk that line?
Sure. Well, I think what you have to do as a Republican candidate is make it about the ideas behind Trump and behind Biden. I mean, any American right now, 60% of Americans believe Biden should either resign or be impeached right now. And that includes Democrats. A significant number of Democrats believe that Biden is not the president we need, and that Kamala Harris would even be worse. So what we have to take people back to is, when was our economy good? When did the things that people care about, when were those fixed in America? That was under a Republican. Trump's ideas, the policy that he had, were good for people. And that's something we can all talk about, we can all get behind as Republicans in a primary. And then move on, from people wanting to federalize this election and say, as the governor of Colorado, as a United States senator, the job of those people will be to push back on the Democrat agenda that Joe Biden is slamming down our throats right now and completely failing on the international stage. We have to flip it to that conversation.
Let me throw this out. I believe Coloradans as a whole really don't like Republicans. The term Republican comes out to somebody who's extreme, might not agree with me on abortion, they want to stop this. It's there. But you're right, on issues, it's very, very different. Mm-hmm. It's why when we put up, as we did last year, a tax cut, it won by 16 percentage points, but yet they voted for a whole bunch of socialists to represent them and reverse it in the legislature. And it's just so hard to wrap around. I go back to Bill Owens a lot. And thanks to he and his campaign manager, Dick Wadhams, here's just 20 whatever years later, I remember he said, you elect me, here are the 3 very specific things. We're going to fund charter schools, which were not getting funded the way they should be. We're going to expand I-25. Oh my God, that's it. And I'm going to lower taxes. Right. And sure enough, he lowered the income tax 2 times. And it was, how do I remember this some 20 whatever years later? And when somebody thinks Republican Party, that's not there. I don't think Republicans have the clarity of, if you pull the lever here, here are the 3 things we guarantee. Mm-hmm.
I would agree with you. I think it's one of our big issues in Colorado is we don't clearly define ourselves as Republicans. And so we let the media, the Democrats, paint us into a corner. We are what they say we are instead of what we say we are. And so that's the whole idea of returning to be the party of ideas. We have put out this year with our Senate and House leaders, a lot of our candidates, a lot of good allies on the center right here in Colorado, a commitment to Colorado. People can find it, commitment to, 2, Colorado.com. And it lays out exactly what Republicans would deliver on to make a better future for our state.
Is it specific, or is it we like kids being educated, we like nice get rid of what is this commitment to Colorado?
Absolutely. Well,
in other words, if Coloradans vote for Republican majorities in Colorado,
yes, this is what they're going to get.
What is it they're going to get? Be specific.
Yes. So I'm going to tell you about the big 3. You're going to hear that phrase all around this state from our candidates, the big 3. These are the big 3 things Republicans are going to deliver on. First, prioritizing public safety. Secondly, making Colorado affordable. And third, expanding educational options around the state. There is more meat to that in the contract, in the commitment to Colorado. And also, our legislators and our candidates are going to build on it. They're going to make real proposals in the legislative session to show what they would do if Republicans were given a chance to lead Colorado. And as you know, John, the people of Colorado often want balance in their government. We lack that deeply right now with one-party stranglehold that's been here for over a decade, and Colorado continues to slip in every possible measurable number.
So when you say affordability,
yes,
crime,
yes,
education, that's nice. That's nice. But when you start putting meat on that,
yes,
that Colorado is unaffordable. Young families can't buy a home. Food prices are going crazy.
Yep.
Urban growth boundaries are making housing prices going nuts. The governor's regulations are making unemployment high and making things expensive. These are very specific things that a state legislature could fix and correct.
Absolutely.
When it comes to safety, I've got to think this. And by the way, all those fixes, Democrats can't promise.
Well, because they won't. They won't do it.
When it comes to crime, you've stepped over the passed out people. You've stepped over the human feces as you're walking around Denver. People are scared, and this all goes to them. Law enforcement is under attack. Democrats can't touch that one.
They can't. Well, they won't. They refuse to. And the thing is, every bad thing in Colorado right now is tied back to a Democrat because they have been in charge of the state for over a decade now. And when we look at public safety, over 60% of Coloradans say that crime and homelessness are at crisis levels in Colorado, and it requires a bold leader to solve it. That is not what the Democrats are. They will not pretend to be that because they cannot do it. And, a city close to me, Aurora, a city we're all familiar with, 150 police officers have resigned. Multiple police officers resign in every single department where they need to stay to actually protect people on the streets. And the reason they're quitting is the legislation the Democrats have slowed down.
The third thing you said is education. Well, let me tell you, honey, we Democrats, we love education. We want to put more money into education, because we're so underfunded in this state. So how dare you say your party can deliver on education?
So Democrats may love education. They do not love choice in education. That is the difference between Republicans and Democrats. We believe in the right of parents to choose the best school for their parents or for their children. We believe that parents know better about the health of their children. We believe parents love their children and the government does not. So that is the difference. The Democrats can say all they want, we love education. Yeah, but you don't love choice in education, and we do.
What kind of choice are we talking about? Because private school choice has been tried here a few times, usually doesn't fly. Inside the system, getting people more money, giving them choice in charter schools, parents love that. What would Republicans do specifically?
Well, I think we're going to see a lot of great proposals from our legislators this next session. Some of our candidates are going to campaign on proposals to bring more choice to education, more options to parents. It absolutely does include expanding charter schools around the state. Parents are demanding charter schools, and they're getting shut down by Democrats who control school boards and who won't allow it. We have to stop that.
Parents like myself, hearing what has been coming out of our online COVID-educated kids, really do feel the indoctrination that's going on in schools and see what's going on in classrooms, perhaps for the first time, very intimately.
Yeah.
And parents, a lot of parents are upset. All right, listen, Toots. I'm going to tell you what the problem with the Republicans. There's no way that you can get suburban women to vote for Republicans. Suburban women, particularly single moms, do not like Republicans. Republicans scare them, and it's such a big voter. Obviously, no self-respecting chick would ever be a Republican.
Well, for one thing, I think, I am a suburban mom. I'm in the age range of those moms who typically vote for Democrats.
How many kids do you have?
2.
Oh, look at that smile. Look at that smile.
Yes, they're wonderful. But I think the key, John, they might think they don't like Republicans, but it really comes down to the candidate. And what moms like me want to see around the state is candidates they can believe in, candidates they can trust, candidates who will bring bold leadership to solve crime, to make Colorado affordable so they can put groceries on their table, and candidates who will give them the choice they want in schools for their children. That's what moms are looking for, and it's really not party-based. It's which candidate can do those things for them, and we believe Republicans can, and we're going to show them.
And also, let me say, in a woke world where parents are seeing what's happening to their kids in schools, in a Colorado that is far more dangerous, and that danger is starting to sleep into the suburbs, I think those suburban moms might go, wait a second, this is a little out of control. Yes. Maybe we do need a few adults in the room.
Just a few.
just a few. All right, let's finish it up on this, because I think this is the best part of what you brought to light to me when we chatted. So, Republicans don't like women. We pay them less. We don't believe in equality for women. Yet, both you and your vice chair for the Republican Party are women. Now, I didn't know that your counterpart is also a woman on the Democratic side. but her assistant is a guy. Tell me why that is.
Yeah, so the Colorado Sun actually uncovered this. The Democrats in their bylaws prohibit their chairman and their vice chairman to be of the same gender. And we as Republicans, hey, you can elect the person you believe in. So this is actually the first time that a major political party in Colorado has ever elected an all-woman slate of officers, because all three of our officers are women. Democrats have never done it.
But the point being, not only have the Democrats never done it, their own stupid over-regulation prevents them.
Yes, their bylaws ban it.
Because they don't see what's behind. They don't see what's between people's ears. They see what's between their legs, and they just want. They have to have the forced diversity instead of this. But yet, it's your party that's supposed to be intolerant.
Right.
I just love that part of it. People want to learn more about the commitment to Colorado. And I think this is a really important stepping stone. Mind you, it's a year ahead of when we're going to be in this battle. Mm-hmm. But where do they go? What do they learn about? What should they be asking?
Perfect question. They should go to Commitment to Colorado. That's the number 2, Colorado.com. They can learn about the big 3, prioritize public safety, make Colorado affordable, and expand educational opportunities. And read about what else is on the contract. We're going to be adding stories, adding legislation points that our candidates are running on. There's going to be a lot of meat there for people to dive into, and they can pass it out, share it, convince people to vote for Republicans.
The wreckage that this progressive legislature and governor are doing to Colorado is could be irreversible in some ways. If Republicans don't have sizable wins in 2022, I'm not too sure when they're going to. This is the year for Republicans in Colorado, and I'm really glad you're out there doing it.
Thanks, John. Me too.
If you enjoyed that conversation, by all means, click one of these other great programs. We have the best conversations with the most fascinating Coloradans. And subscribe to our channel. Just click down below and hit that little bell button too. You don't want to miss a single show.